Hydrocolpus, hematocolpus. That is water in the vagina or blood in the vagina. Colpus is vagina. Vaginal septum. A vaginal septum is where you don't have a complete opening, that your vagina has a septum in it. Okay? That can cause amenorrhea. Why amenorrhea? Because it's obstructed, so blood can't get out. Okay? Hematocolpus. What is hematocolpus? Blood in the vagina. Hematometra. What's that?
Oh, vagina and uterus.
No.
Vagina and uterus.
No. Hematometra.
Blood
In the uterus. Okay? It didn't mention anything about colpus. Okay?
Ah, okay.
Okay. An incomplete septa, means the same thing as a septum. It's just that they're just talking about that one. Septa.
It's just this one here, right? This is incomplete.
We're not talking about that right now. We're going over the pathology.
Oh, okay. No, but
Okay.
I'm saying as a picture.
Okay. Let's go over let's talk about the definitions first. Partial, I don't understand, cryptomenorrhea. I don't know what that word is, crypto frozen. Dysmenorrhea is pain, and dyspurenia is painful sex. Okay, dyspurenia means painful sex. Vaginal agenesis. The vagina is not formed.
Are you still in 3-1?
3-1.
Where does it, where's your
Vaginal agenesis, page 31, box 3-1.
So,
We're
vagina
almost finished with that page, and you're just asking where we are?
No,
That's a problem for me.
where's
Here. This one.
Oh, okay.
So you say vagina is not formed? Or it's
Yeah.
not complete?
And if I have agenesis of the vagina, it could also be considered aplasia, meaning it did not form. Okay? A didelphic uterus. A didelphic uterus is where you have duplication of the uterus. You have duplication of the vagina. You have duplication of the cervix. Okay? Imperforated hymen. There's not a hole in the membrane to let fluid out of the vagina. So that's gonna back up, and I could have hemata or hydro. Because the older blood gets, those red blood cells are gonna disintegrate. Okay? Those red blood cells now just turn to fluid. Okay, so if it's hemata, it's gonna be homogeneous. Okay? If it's, what was the other one I used? Hydro, it's just gonna be anechoic. Okay, anechoic. A Gartner's duct cyst. A Gartner's duct cyst is in the vaginal wall. It happens because it's a remnant of the mesonephric duct. Gartner's duct cyst.
So folks, just for etiology or finding clinic and sonography finding too?
It's usually gonna be a incidental finding. Okay. So if we're in transabdominal long, okay, we've got to discern whether it's the vagina or the cervix. They look almost exactly the same, except for the vagina is going to be more towards the foot. Okay? Now, you can see tampons in there. Okay? We can tell if a person has in a tampon or not. A Tampax. Something for your periods. Okay? Okay. So we can see that in there. Now, if you go to either side, go ahead. If you see something to either side and it's anechoic, it's going to be a Gartner's duct cyst. Okay? It's usually going to be an incidental finding.
So now with the Mullerian duct, anomalies associated with the vagina and uterus, cervix, and fallopian tube.
Yes.
So what's the Wolfen duct anomalies?
I'm sorry?
Wolfen duct?
Work, that's all male.
Just male.
Male.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let's go over the images. Page 32. A double uterus, double cervix, double vagina is a didelphys. You can get pregnant in both uteri. You can have sex in both vaginas. A lot of times one of them will kind of atrophy. And it's usually not used. Unless it's used on a regular basis. If it's used on a regular basis, then it won't atrophy. Meaning, if you only have sex in one vagina, the other one's going to be expanded and the other one's not. Okay?
So it's gonna be the other one gonna be a virgin.
The other one will be a virgin.
And if you take turn.
Yeah.
Keep on.
Well, a lot of times, I mean, the patient, when you see, she's going to tell you which one to use. She's going to tell you to use the one on the top or one on the bottom. Because she's going to come to you already knowing she has a didelphys. Why? Because little girls have a physical exam at birth. And we can see two vaginas. Okay, so they're going to know that. But at bicornuate, they're not going to know that. Okay?
So the husband is gonna have two wives.
Yeah. That's one way to look at it. Wait until she's 50 and have a virgin again? I don't know.
He's a lucky one.
He's a lucky man.
ظهر
Okay.
غالي.
You said 50 and have a virgin again.
Yeah, have a virgin again.
الظهر غالي قلت لك.
Okay.
Percentage please.
A uterus duplex or a bicornuous. You can have one vagina, two cervix, and two horns. Okay? A uterus bicornuate. You only have one cervix, two horns. See the difference between them? Okay. One has a duplicated cervix and one only has one cervix. A unicornate, you only half of a uterus. A complete septate, we can confuse that with a bicornus or a bicornuate because you're going to have two horns, but see the septation, how far down it comes? It goes all the way through the cervix. A septate uterus, whether it's complete or partial, is the number one reason for miscarriage. Because if a baby implants on the septation, then it's not going to be able to survive because there's no blood supply. Okay. Pathology box 3-2 on page 33. If you have a complete absence of the vagina and the uterus, both Mullerian ducts fail to develop. Hypoplasia of the vagina and the uterus, you have them, but they're not fully developed, is because the Mullerian ducts don't fully develop. A unicornate, only one Mullerian duct developed. Okay, pathology box 3-3.
He's talking for us.
I know. A bicornuate uterus. What's the difference between a bicornuate and a didelphys?
Yeah.
One
It
vagina
has
and two vagina.
corn
Huh?
with one uterus. Two corn with one uterus.
Yeah, a bicornuate, I have one
Person.
cervix. A didelphys,
Two
I have two cervix. I could have two vaginas, okay? It's a didelphys is a complete failure to fuse. A bicornuate is a partial fusion. Y'all know what a septate and an arcuate are. What's the difference between a septate and an arcuate?
Arcuate is just a mild.
It's just a mild dip. If I have a heart-shaped fundus, then I have a arcuate uterus.
And this is, has nothing with the pregnancy and the arcuate shape. It affects,
I guess it would depend on if it goes into a septation. If it goes into a septation, I would still have an arcuate. Okay, but it depends on the degree of it.
yeah. But the septate is, the arcuate develop the septate, right?
Hang on.
Yes or no?
I said, hang on.
Huh?
Okay, now what were you saying?
I mean, the arcuate, when it comes down, it will be the septate, or this is something different?
No, if you have an arcuate, it has nothing to do with the septations. But it could tell us if we have a bicornuate. Okay, because here's an arcuate. It's only at the fundus. Okay, it's only at the fundus.
That's a heart shape, right?
It's a heart shape.
Okay.
But if I have a septation, if I have a septation, I'm also going to have a heart shape. I could also have a bicornuate. Or the same, the bicornuate and the didelphys are gonna look exactly the same. Until I get to the cervix. That's where I'm gonna be able to tell a bicornuate from a didelphys.
And that's when the fundus extends into the cervix.
That's where the fundus actually, this will come down. Okay, because you got two horns.